What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome back to the Sooner Surge. And about 30 minutes ago, you may have seen or may not have seen the most recent news in regards to the Oklahoma basketball program with the addition, the hiring of Clayton Custer as the new assistant coach to the program. And this was something that we talked about on the pod last night. Brody had mentioned several candidates, but Clayton Custer being a guy who is familiar with the program as he spent time under Moser and with the university, and also familiar with some of these young guys that the Sooners have with their up and coming talent. So, guys, what's this mean for the program?
I think this means that you are starting to see a developmental program inside the program, as has been emphasized by Porter Moser. He wants to develop guys within. Whenever he first got hired, one of the first guys he hired was Clayton Custer as a graduate assistant. Is that right? Is that what his label
Yeah, I
was?
believe so. He was over basically development of the
Yeah,
team.
he was player development and graduate assistant, I believe. So you just look at this kind of hire. It's someone who's very young, coach. A guy
28.
Yeah, he's only 28 years old. He played under Porter Moser, made the Final Four on their Loyola Chicago team. A guy that was a very good college basketball player, someone that has lots of experience in Porter Moser's system, knows the culture, so he's going to know what to bring every single day to this team. And I think that honestly, it's maybe one of the best hires they could have made, just looking at pure like ceiling and potential. But based upon experience, he's going to have a lot of learning to do. But I think that the staff Oklahoma has now, the only way another guy is going to leave, unless it's only going to be if it's another higher up major job like we saw with Emmanuel Dildy who went to Duke, or if they get a head coaching job.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jackson. And that's the thing I see most importantly about this hire, because when we talked about last night on the pod, when Brody had mentioned Benny Seltzer, who I love Benny Seltzer, obviously long time under Kelvin Sampson as well as Porter Moser. But I also thought, I think I said it last night on the pod, I think Custer for recruiting and stuff is going to be a lot better hire. He's younger. He's eager. That's big time. Big. You got to be eager. He's hungry. And here's the thing. What's interesting about this whole thing is he just left, not too long ago in the offseason to go to Loyola because they offered him an assistant coach job. And you can't turn that down at his age. He was going to go. That was his alma mater. And for him to come back, before coaching there now, I think it speaks volumes that he wants to be at Oklahoma. He didn't really want to leave, but he had to take that next step. But now that it's open at OU, he can do that under Porter Moser. It gives Porter Moser a guy that he's worked with before, a guy that's really relational with guys that are already on the team, such as Uzon and Owe, guys that he recruited. Custer developed, I guess. So I don't know about recruiting as much because he was a grad assistant and stuff. But he has great relationships with those guys already. So I think this is a really good hire for OU, and I think it's going to be something that, like you said, Jackson, isn't going to be a 2-year deal. I think it's going to be longer term because, he's not going to get offered probably anywhere like at a, big time Duke or anything in the next 2 years. So,
Yeah, I said it last night, guys, that Benny Seltzer was kind of who I thought OU might go after, and I was really excited about that just because of his knowledge within the program. But you're exactly right, Jay. What they're getting in Custer is a guy who left and went back to his home area, and somehow Moser is able to get him back. What I think that speaks to, though, is Custer knows they've got something pretty special.
Yeah.
I think that Custer would not have come back. And look, for me to say that, guys, it's pretty impressive. I think this demonstrates that Custer is excited about where this program is going. If he wasn't, I think he would have stayed kind of in his home area. So,
yeah, I agree. I think he knows, and he worked with this team last year and the last few years, so he knows the talent that's there, the young talent, and with what they brought in the portal. I think he's super excited, and I'm pumped because I think like you said, he's young, 28, very relational to the guys on the team, and now you got him, I believe. You got Ryan Humphrey still there. I mean, you lost Dildy, which was a big loss, but they got a good staff there now, guys. They really do. I think all around good staff that's going to be maybe a little bit long term, because that's been one of my complaints right now about Moser. And it's not really about him. It's just the fact that they haven't been consistently had the same coaches over the 2 or 3 years. He's had different assistants all the time, like a revolving door. So I think these guys he has hired now on his staff will be there, at least 2 to 3 years maybe, and they'll have some consistency.
Yeah, and as you said with the consistency part, this is a team that over these last 2 years has had back-to-back makeshift off seasons under Porter Moser. You talk about last season, they brought in guys like Grant Sherfield, Joe Bamisil in the transfer portal, right? Those guys didn't work out, and you saw Jalen Hill, he transferred out. Jacob Groves, he transferred out. Grant Sherfield and Tanner Groves, they graduated, went to the NBA. So you just talk about these guys that need to be brought in and kept long term, and it all is going to start with Jeremy's favorite word, with the culture, right? And this is a guy, as I said, who is going to come and know the culture for Porter Moser, and things are going to be, I think, ran maybe, I would say, more smoothly for him being a new guy, just because he already knows what to do.
Yeah.
And obviously, as you said, he already has some relationships with Uzan and Owe and Luke Northweather. So those are 3 young players that I think he can help kind of be there by their side. And obviously, you look at a guy like Milos Uzan, who maybe could improve a little bit on his playmaking, just because last year he was mainly forced into a lot more of a scoring role than I expect him to be this year. So I think that with him, he can help him develop just as a floor general. I expect the same with JV and McCollum. It's just overall a great hire, and I don't think that there's many more hires that I would have wanted Porter Moser to make.
Yeah, and I think you use the word culture. Look, the offensive system, the scheme is changing a little, as Brody alluded to last night, something that Moser has really, I guess you could say, done a self-evaluation and self-check and decided to go a different direction. So, with that being said, Custer may not be as familiar with the offense, but you're right. The culture aspect of it, he's a guy that was basically raised under Moser's culture, and now will be able to live out that culture and teach it to the next generation. So, guys, great, good hire here. We'll see, what bodes and comes from this. But I wanted to update you guys on this hire for the basketball program. If you see the button, you see it right there, guys. What are you waiting on? Subscribe to this channel. We are pouring out the content for you, our viewers, all across the board, many different sports, many different updates. Check out SoonerSurge.com. Great article on there today by Brendan Dillon about the 5 games you need to rewatch before the season begins here in about 26 days. So, guys, until next time, Boomer.
Boomer.